What up? Seth, Miranda here. This is Adorama Rewind, and there's a bunch of stuff, so I'm just gonna get right into it. It's pretty interesting, like this from NASA. Shot the first pics of supersonic jet shockwaves interacting. Yes, this is actual photos. Apparently they were able to do 1400 frames per second for up to 3 seconds. They were using gear that actually wasn't too expensive, but were able to rig it so that it can visualize air, heat, and sound changes. So you're actually seeing bends in sound waves, air, and here you can see the heat from the infrared right about here and things like that. So I thought this was awesome. I really love when we get a really hardcore scientific bend into photography, because it's really easy to just say, like, people put filters and stuff on, but when you really look at what the equipment's doing when it comes to recording light or heat and apparently shockwaves. So this is pretty awesome. Check it out. If you guys find any scientific stuff like this, link me down in the comments below. I would love to check it out. Every time I've pulled something from NASA, someone has pulled up a link from somewhere crazy, and I really enjoy it. So keep at it. In some other news, Huawei has been busted for faking smartphone photos again. So this is pretty much what's going on. So over here you see the loop. This is their ad, and they put a loop over the image as details. Well, here's the Getty image that it actually was taken from. So we saw this in the past with the Canon 5D Mark III DSLR photo being what shot the images in their last ads, but here you can see the ads they've been putting out for the P30 series to show off the zoom, but the zoom isn't being featured here. It's just images with a fake loop over it, and here are the actual Getty images. Pretty shady, pretty blatant. I don't really know what else to say about this. It seems like they haven't learned from their past mistakes of when they were caught with the Canon taking the photos and saying that their phone took the photos. I don't know if anyone's gonna trust this brand. Let me know if you trust this brand. I would love to know who's out there going, that's my phone. I don't know. It's just I can't imagine getting away with these things nowadays. And maybe this is just a weird form of advertising for them because they're getting mentioned so much now. I don't know. Who knows? This world's crazy now. In some actual innovation, Insta360 EVO is folding camera that shoots both 360 and 180. So you can see here, it's just like the Theta and the other Insta360, where it can have a 180 degree lens on both sides, and then you can make it flat to be stereoscopic pretty much. And so there's a lot of applications for this. You got a 180 megapixel, 180 degree 3D photos and 5.7K 180 degree 3D video when it's in this format. This is pretty crazy. It's pretty awesome also. It's very small. You can see it's hand holdable and it can fit in your pocket, things like that. When you have applications that are so vast as this, from VR to 3D to other things, it's kind of amazing that you can get something like this for, let's see, $420, which is kind of crazy. Views has put something out like this as well. We saw it at Photokina. You know, the Theta's been out forever. 360 cameras are a lot of fun, and I think this is pretty innovative to do the whole folding thing, which a couple companies are doing, but this is pretty cheap to get into for what it can actually produce out there. And if you're someone that's trying to learn VR, maybe this would be a great camera for you to jump onto so that you could apply it to whatever media you're trying to make out there. VR is still a new platform for most people. They're still trying to figure things out. I remember being in GameStops where they had like beta testing of VR headsets, and kids were like throwing up from like the frame rates. And now we're at a place where you can actually have a camera that could fit in your pocket that could probably shoot VR. I'm more interested in the 3D application of it. Being in your pocket, you can have two lenses and you can shoot stereoscopic. For people who don't know what that is, like back in the day, you could shoot slides and put them in a dual holder, and as long as you shot something 1 to 30, meaning if I was 30 inches away from something and I shot it and then moved 1 inch to the left or right and shot it again, and then I put that into a dual holder and looked at it, it would be three-dimensional in viewing, because you have two perspective points that are meeting in one plane. So it's a whole thing, but it's true. I remember shooting it all the time. I did it on an IKEA job a long time ago. It was pretty awesome. I'm not gonna get into that. All right. CF Express cards. So that seems to be the new dominant memory coming up. Well, it turns out there's 3 sizes to them. Check this out. So apparently we've been using size B for like the Nikon D850, the Panasonic S series, some video cameras that are out there. But this size A is considerably smaller and will be used for things like phones or even smaller cameras. And this Type C, I think, is going to be used more for like actual computers and maybe video recorders. So here's the speeds. You can actually see that You get about 1,000 megabytes per second on type A, 2,000 megabytes is what we're using right now, and 4,000 megabytes on type C. I think these two are theorized right now. This is actual because they actually exist. But it turns out that CF Express is going to be really fleshed out, just like SD was, right? Micro SD, mini SD, actual SD. But now you can use this type of memory for bigger applications or way smaller applications, not just a small card, making a smaller card even smaller, but like a pretty robust card, a legit sized card. They can probably go into recorders and handle a lot more efficiency for computers and for video recorders to have faster write speeds. And the more it's out there, the cheaper it gets for us, right? More companies make it, more cameras need it, more abundance in actual numbers of inventory and stock, things like that. So in more like fun shapy news like that Insta360, we get the tilt effect with the Lensbaby Composer Pro 2 with now the Edge 35mm optic. So this is the Lensbaby. I think we've all had our little Lensbaby phase where you take that lens and squeeze it to get tilt shift effects. Well, it used to have like the Edge 50mm, and now you're going to get the 35mm for even wider a wider focal length. So it's f3.5 to f22, 8-blade aperture. It has up to 15 degrees tilt, and you can see here, you can do, let me enlarge this for you guys. So you can actually see, you get the sharpness where you want it, and you kind of play around with it. And it's a lot of fun. I think a lot of wedding photographers and baby photographers use this a lot. It's one of those things that you kind of experience, everyone at some point experiences with it. And you know, they sent me a ton of them, and I was having like trouble deciding which ones I always wanted to use. It's a little overwhelming, but it's low cost, it's a lot of fun, and especially if you just want to make some cool things happen, there's an easy way to do it. And now you have a wider focal length to play with. In some disheartening news, and this isn't just for this woman, but is humanity in general. This woman was attempting to take a selfie with a jaguar in a zoo in Phoenix, Arizona, and she got attacked. I'm not going to play the video. It's all blurred out. She was mauled pretty hard. But I do want you guys to know that selfies apparently have killed 269 people in the last 6 years between drownings and falling off cliffs and animal attacks. So is it worth it? Leave the animals alone. And I always see like people on dating apps like next to a tiger, and it's like, it's clearly sedated. Is that supposed to make me want to like swipe right on you, that you want to hang out with sedated animals? Anyway, tell me what the value in taking selfies with a dangerous animal is. I'd leave them alone. It's, you know, they're in a zoo, they're chilling, they're letting you stare at them, you know, watch the feedings, don't jump over the fence. And if you're gonna go to any dangerous places to take a selfie, take precaution first and just really watch out for yourselves. I don't know what else to say about this. It never amazes me what social media is getting to. It really doesn't. In funner news, Double has announced stereo-inspired transitional specialty film. So this is pretty cool. It actually is like a calibrated transition from a red to the blue cyans. So as you shoot, you can see that you can actually keep tabs on where you're at in the roll and know where the transition's happening. So maybe you can do a whole color theory story or something like that. I really am digging this DubbleFilm company. They're putting out some really cool stuff. It's pre-exposed film. So it's like getting light leaks, but controlled light leaks. You know, analog presets per se. I don't know what to say about that, but it's kind of cool. It is, you're going to be paying a premium for the specialty film, but you are going to be getting specialty images out of it. And, you know, if anything, it's just fun to take stuff like this and just load a roll and enjoy your weekend with some pretty cool photos with your friends, or just get into a project, or not just use it for the kitsch of it, but how you could apply it to a concept to elevate that concept. Think about that. In some other cool news, for Blogger, their vintage rare finds, Diane Arbus print is yours for 5 Gs. So this apparently is a rare image from Diane Arbus. It is on eBay right now, 17 by 17 photograph of Blaze Star. That's the back. There is some writing here. It says Diane Arbus right there. There is some cracking and things like that, but it is a vintage print. It is one of the rare pieces from her. You know, this isn't one of the ones that you've seen to death in like all the books and all the art history, you know, textbooks and things like that. They did put an estimated value over to 15 to 20 grand if it could get up to that high, but right now it's 5 Gs. Okay, so that's what I'm going to give you guys for the news. I want to clue you in on some stuff that happened on Adorama. Something special happened right here in the event space. Daniel Norton went live doing small flash demo, and I was there. And we had two models, Marissa, who you guys love, and Erica, who you guys love. And we had them both come through. Some crazy hats, some wild dresses, and it turned into a huge improv session, actually. Towards the end, you actually see that we started making these crazy shadows, and some people actually commented that they just got a master class in small flash, and you can see that I started getting involved, and I think I actually started shooting like the last frames here, and we're talking over like where we're trying to go with the frame and what we're trying to see, and you can see like these tons of looks that we got with just small flash. So if you haven't checked it out or haven't seen Daniel shoot live on like about every other Thursday here on Adorama TV, do so. It's also available on Facebook if you want to read some more comments. The comments on this last one were bananas, and we appreciate it so much, and we didn't realize that being on the fly and doing things without structure is something you guys wanted. So me and Daniel have been talking, and we're probably going to team up for a jam session and do something very, very loose formatted and explain every decision we're making as we go fully, instead of going, here's how you do something from A to Z. It's more like, well, we don't know what Z is yet, but we're going to try to get there. Let me know what you think about that. I'm really curious about that. And let's talk about the comments from last week. I asked you guys if signature gear affects your decisions when buying stuff, and pretty much everyone said the same thing. Like Self-Powered says, when I see signature gear, it's a bit of a red flag. I would probably avoid it. Plus, it's usually more expensive. Gary Nelson says, thanks, Seth. When someone famous puts their name on something, I think how much they're getting and how much more it's going to cost. My comment on that is, yeah, there's a lot of signature gear out there that's pretty much just like, yeah, buy it, it's a marketing tool, but there's also really legitimate signature gear out there that's taken something that was either a problem out there in the field and made a solution for it, or something that existed and modified it for their workflow or to fit their style. So if you're trying to go towards someone's look, like Joe McNally has a specific look to his images, and he developed some things with Elastolite, or Joel Grimes with Westcott created that beauty dish or whatever else. But in the end, look at the names and see what they're doing with it when they're showing what it is. Then there's plenty of stuff out there that's just been like, I think this is awesome here, and they put it out in the field and somehow we're supposed to vouch for it. But you really gotta take everything with a grain of salt, see what works for you. And a lot of times you see that you're paying for the research and development on a lot of things. So when things cost more money, it's usually because it costs more money to develop it. When 10 to 20% of the sales of an item go right back into research and development to evolve the line and create more in-depth technologies and try to solve problems that we weren't able to before, or even look at things a different way to create something out there that hasn't been. That's what you're really paying for, and that's kind of what you get with pro design gear when there's a signature on it. They were out there in the field trying to make it happen. So that's where I stand on that. Of course, it's your money. You worked hard for it. I work hard for my money. We're going to use it where we see fit. Okay, so question of the week. Since we're talking about gear, I want to know, what's the oldest gear you have in your kit? What's the one thing that you've had forever? Is it that crazy speed light that's lasted forever? Is it some giant grip that you've had on some Hasselblad? Like, what is it? What's something you've had in your kit? Is it an optical sleeve that fits onto a light? Is it some crazy cable that you can't find anymore because it's like just the right length? Is it some weird oddball thing that was custom made? I have plenty of custom made stuff in my kit, and every time I go live, you guys go, what's that thing? I'm like, it was made. I found an issue with something and I got someone to make it for me. Or I found something I could piece together in Frankenstein. What's something that's the oldest thing in your kit that's lasted your entire career or your entire hobby life, or whatever you want to call it? What's made it through all the years with you? I also am going to address one other thing, and it's because I got a DM on Instagram from two people. I didn't realize this was a thing. They want to know what's up with this background. Pretty much, this is a graffiti background that was done by Jat Lowbrow Artique Bishop. 30,000 names for this guy. He has a store in Brooklyn, Lowbrow Artique, and he sells spray art accessories, we'll call it. He did this for Adorama's Inspire Week last year. He did it live so people could actually film it and try out cameras while he was doing it. And now it's just living here for me to use as a background when I see fit. And just so you guys know, it actually is like 3 pieces. I'll show you. it's like, you know, it's like 3 completely different pieces. So, you know, this is just the Adorama event space that we shoot in all the time. And then I just light it up with a Westcott Solix, and I throw a gel on it to mess with the colors on the paint whenever I want to. So that's pretty much the magic behind the set. I just wanted to, you know, full transparency for you guys. I set this up every week and I just go for it here. So I appreciate you guys sticking with me through all these rants, raves, and sort of newslettery type stuff. Oh, also I wanted to say thanks to Rangefinder. You guys have put me in your magazine and gave me a 2-page spread, and I can't thank you guys enough. This is beyond an honor. When I was coming up, I remember you know, seeing Rangefinder on the stands and seeing it all over the place and on the countertops and in all the studios and things like that. And I never thought I'd have anything in one of your magazines. And this was actually from a live demo I did right here in the event space on Facebook, showing you guys creative exposures. And usually I take those images and just shelve them and don't use them for anything. And I mean, once in a while I'll go through them, but I never thought that it would end up a 2-page spread. So you guys can actually see how this shot was done live, right on the spot, right at a camera, in the link below. Check that out. I appreciate your comments. So hit like, let me know what you think. Let me know what that old gear in your kit is, and comment on all the stuff we just talked about right here. Or let me know if you're someone that's into VR that would be into that Insta360. Do you guys follow what NASA's doing photographically? What do you think about that phone, that fake phone ad stuff using some stock images? I can already guess. Are you someone that's taking selfies with dangerous animals or something crazier? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments. I'll see you guys next week. Later. Peace.